الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على إمام الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وأرنا الحق حقا ورزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا ورزقنا اجتنابه. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to this, another of our tafsirs. We are going to review the tafsir of Surah Kauther. Please send out invites to everyone on your pause list so that they know that the dars has started. And the reason why we are reviewing Surah Kauther is because my connection was not good, was not to my satisfaction yesterday. Surah Kauther is the shortest surah in the Holy Quran. And this surah was revealed in Mecca. Surah Kauther is Surah 108, the shortest surah in the Quran, and it was revealed in Mecca. In this surah, Allah Ta'ala said, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. Verily, we have given you, O Muhammad, the Kauthar, which is the river in paradise. So pray to your Lord and sacrifice. Pray to your Lord and sacrifice means Salatul Eid. And the sacrifice is Eid al-Adha. Inna sha'ni'aka huwa al-abtar. Verily, it's your enemies and not you, O Muhammad, who is cut off from all future hope. They'll be cut off from all goodness, both in this life and in the next life. There is a challenge that Allah puts out in the Quran to the kuffar. If you are in any doubt as to what we reveal unto a servant Muhammad, then produce a surah like it. Produce a surah similar to the Quran. Produce a surah like it means the shortest surah, Inna A'tainaka al-Kawthar. So Allah said, وَإِن كُنْتُمْ فِي رَيْبٍ مِمَّا نَزَّلْنَا عَلَىٰ عَبْدِنَا فَأْتُوا بِسُورَةٍ مِّن مِّثْلِهِ وَادْعُوا شُهَدَاءَكُم مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. And if you, the pagan Arabs, the Jews, and the Christians, are in any doubt concerning that which we have revealed unto our slave Muhammad, then produce a surah like thereof, and call your witnesses, your supporters, your helpers, beside Allah, if you speak the truth. فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا وَلَن تَفْعَلُوا فَاتَّقُوا النَّارَ الَّتِي وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةُ أُعِدَّتْ لِلْكَافِرِينَ. But if you cannot, and of a surety you will never, then fear the fire whose fuel is men and stones, prepared for the disbelievers. So this challenge, produce a surah like that of the Quran, it's an open challenge, and it means even the shortest surah, Inna A'tainaka al-Kawthar, produce a surah like it, and call your witnesses beside Allah if you speak the truth. The word abtar means a person who's without any sons. It's considered a social stigma for you to be without sons in the Arabian Peninsula, because people take pride in sons. So for you not to have a son, it is considered a social stigma. Why did Allah reveal Surah Kauthar? The Prophet got married to Khadija. She was 40 and he was 25. In spite of her age, she bore him 6 kids, 6 children. Qasim, Abdullah, Zainab, Ruqayya, Kulthum, and Fatima. Qasim, Abdullah, Zainab, Ruqayya, Kulthum, and Fatima. When Qasim died, the kuffar were pleased. When the other son, Abdullah, died, they were happy, they were celebrating, and they were teasing him. They said, look at Muhammad, he's Abtar. Abtar means he has no sons. Abtar, he has no sons to take over his religion when he dies. So he and his religion will perish. When Muhammad reaches his demise, his religion will expire. Islam is going to expire on the shelves. Why? Because he has no sons to take over his religion to spread it in the Arabian Peninsula. Therefore, when Muhammad reaches his demise, Islam is going to expire on the shelves. Because he has no sons, he's Abtar. They call the Prophet Abtar, it's called verbal abuse. Now, if you The Muslim, if you should have a Christian neighbor, a Jewish neighbor, a Hindu neighbor, a Sikh neighbor, and their son should die, you would never celebrate the death of a child. No Muslim would celebrate the death of their neighbor's child. This behavior is unreasonable behavior. It is called unreasonable behavior. To celebrate the death of your neighbor's child is called unreasonable behavior. How can you celebrate the death of a child? But the Kafirs of Mecca, that's what they did. They celebrated the death of Abdullah, the Prophet's son. And they teased the Prophet and called him Abtar, the man with no sons and the man with no future hope. Allah spoke about wealth and children in the Quran. And Allah did tell us that children and wealth are what people go crazy for. Surah 3 verse 14. زين للناس حب الشهوات من النساء والبنين والقناطير المقنطرة من الذهب والفضة والخيل المصومة والأنعام والحرث ذلك متاع الحياة الدنيا والله عنده حسن المآب. Beautified for men is the love of things they covet, women, children, much of gold and silver, wealth, and branded beautiful horses and cattle and well-tilled land. This is the pleasure of the present world's life, but Allah has the excellent return, and that is paradise with flowing rivers. That's one ayah telling you that people go crazy for wealth and kids. Then Allah said in Surah 8 verse 28, وَاعْلُمَ أَنَّمَا أَمْوَالُكُمْ وَأَوْلَادُكُمْ فِتْنَةٌ. Surah 8 verse 28. And know that your possession and your children are but a trial, but surely with Allah is a mighty reward. Surah 18 verse 46 says the same thing. Surah 18 verse 46. Al-mal wal-banun zinatul hayati dunya wal-baqiyat as-salihat khayr inda rabbik thawaban wa khayrun amala. Wealth and children are the adornment of the life of this world, the pomp and glitter of this world. But the good righteous deeds that last are better with your Lord for rewards and better in respect of hope. The Prophet said in a very famous hadith, when a man dies, three things follow him to his grave: his wealth, his family, and his good deeds or his bad deeds. The wealth and the family returns from his grave, but the deeds remain with him inside his grave. In your grave, you are alone. Your family is not there with you. Your wealth will not be buried with you. It's just you in that dark place, you and your deeds. In that grave, that dark grave, you and your deeds. So when you die, three things follow you to the grave: your family, your wealth, and your deeds. Two of them return, your family and your wealth, and your deeds remain with you in the grave to either benefit you or to be a source of anguish for you. In your graves, your deeds will be a source of benefit for you or a source of anguish for you. So it was considered a social stigma for you to be a man with no sons in the Arabian Peninsula. And the Arabs, they like sons, not daughters. And Allah Ta'ala spoke about them. Surah 16 verse 58. وَإِذَا بُشِرَ أَحَدُهُمْ بِالْأُنْثَى ظَلَّ وَجْهُهُ مَسْوَدًا وَهُوَ قَذِيمٌ. And when the news of a birth of a female infant is brought to any of them, his face becomes dark, he starts to sulk, and he is filled with inward grief, because he got the news his wife gave to a girl child. And even in China, girls are buried alive. In China, girls are buried alive. In China, there's a lot of homosexuals because there are more men than women in China. because the law says one child only. So they abort the girl children. So in China, there are a lot more boys than girls. And because there are a lot of boys and few girls in China, there's a lot of homosexuals in China. In India, the same problem. There are more, in some villages, you only see boys, no girls. Because the dowry system in India is that the girls give the dowry to the boys. The mahar is given from girl to boy in India. It's a Hindu custom. So people, they don't want girls because it's a curse, because you're going to have to give dowry to men. But if you have boys, it's better because the girls give the dowry to the boy. So girl children are being buried alive by the millions in India and in China. And Allah spoke about it in the Quran in Surah Takwir, Surah 81. So Allah Ta'ala said in Surah 81, وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ بِأَيِّ ذَنْبٍ قُتِلَتْ. Surah 81, verses 8 to 9. وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ بِأَيِّ ذَنْبٍ قُتِلَتْ. On that day, the girl child that was buried alive will be asked, what sin did she commit for her to be slain? She's just a girl who was born. She's only 1 day old or 1 hour old. Very young girl. Why did you bury her alive? What sin did she commit to deserve this? You buried her alive. Why did you kill her? In China, girls are buried alive. And in India, girls are buried alive. So don't think that to bury girl children alive is something of the past. There is no such a thing called the past. History repeats itself, and there is no such thing called the past. Any sin that people committed in the time of the Prophet, they are doing the same things today. There is no such a thing called the past. The human nature doesn't change, the plot of the Satan doesn't change, and Allah's Sunnah doesn't change. These are the 3 reasons why history repeats itself. The Kafirs were laughing at the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah told you the modus operandi of a Kafir is that they like to laugh at the believers, and it is called to wage psychological warfare on the believers for you to start doubting your deen. So Surah Mutaffifin, verses, Surah Mutaffifin, Surah 83, 29 to 36. Surah Mutaffifin, Surah 83, verses 29 to 36. Allah told you the modus operandi of the kuffar is to laugh at the believers. Because by laughing at you, they wage psychological warfare on you for you to lose your faith, to abandon your Islam. That's why they laugh at you. It's called psychological warfare. So Allah Ta'ala said, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ أَجْرَمُوا كَانُوا مِنَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا يَضْحَكُونَ إِنَّ الَّذِينَ أَجْرَمُوا كَانُوا مِنَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا يَضْحَكُونَ وَإِذَا مَرُّوا بِهِمْ يَتَغَامَزُونَ وَإِذَا انقَلَبُوا إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهِمُ انقَلَبُوا فَكِهِينَ وَإِذَا رَأَوْهُمْ قَالُوا إِنَّ هَؤُلَاءِ لَضَالُّونَ وَمَا أُرْسِلُوا عَلَيْهِمْ حَافِظِينَ فَالْيَوْمَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنَ الْكُفَّارِ يَضْحَكُونَ عَلَى الْأَرَائِكِ يَنظُرُونَ هَلْ ثُوِّبَ الْكُفَّارُ مَا كَانُوا يَفْعَلُونَ. Listen to what Allah Ta'ala said. Verily, during the life of this world, those who were kuffar, they laugh at those who believe. And when they pass by, they used to wink to one another, to mock and to jeer. It's called smear, snare, and jeer. Why they laugh at the believers and wink at each other? They use their eyes to wink at each other, to mock the believers. It is called psychological warfare for you to abandon your faith. And the Kafirs want you to apostate because they're jealous. They are jealous. They envy you for your deen, so they want you to apostate. By ridiculing the believers, it is called smear, snare, and jeer. وَإِذَا انقَلَبُوا إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهِمُ انقَلَبُوا فَكِهِينَ. And when they return to their people at home, they would return jesting. So when they go home, they said, guess what? Guess what? I was downtown today and I saw a ninja. A ninja. They are talking about a niqabi woman. Some kafirs spit at Muslim women. Some kuffar, they drag the hijab from the head of the Muslim woman. Some of them spit at Muslim women. That's how evil a kafir is. So you should not leave the house without a mahram, because you're living in Dar Harb. So when they go back home and sit with their families, they say, guess what? Guess what? I was downtown today and I saw a ninja. A ninja. وَإِذَا رَأُوهُمْ قَالُوا إِنَّ هَؤُلَاءِ لَضَالُونَ. And when they see the believers, they say, these are astray. I beg your pardon. The Muslims are astray. You, the kafir, you are astray. You say Holy Mary, Mother of God. You believe God came from the belly of a woman. You are astray. Not, you are walking around with an uncircumcised penis and you eat pork and you believe Jesus is God. So who is astray? Who is astray? A man who believes that Jesus is God is astray, not the believer. And if you follow Jesus, why do you walk around with an uncircumcised penis and eat pork? You don't follow Jesus. You follow your evil and corrupted desires. You're a hypocrite and a waste of space. You don't follow Jesus. You follow your evil and corrupted desires. You're a hypocrite and a waste of space. How dare you tell the believers they are astray? You are the one who's astray. You don't even make istinja. You're not even hygienic. No, not circumcised and no istinja. وَمَا أُرْسِلُوا عَلَيْهِمْ حَافِظِينَ. Allah said, I did not send the kuffar to become hafidhin, watchers over the believers. فَالْيَوْمَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنَ الْكُفَّارِ يَضْحَكُونَ. Today, on the day of resurrection, it's the believers who will be laughing at the kuffar. عَلَى الْأَرَائِكِ يَنْظُرُونَ. They will be relaxing on chairs and thrones, looking down at other things. هَلْ ثُوِبَ الْكُفَّارُ مَا كَانَ يَفْعَلُونَ. Are not the disbelievers paid fully for what they used to do? You laugh at us in the dunya and we will laugh at you in the hereafter. Because who laughed last, laughed the best. Our laughter is the best. We shall laugh at you while you are being dumped in the hellfire. We shall be relaxing on thrones and chairs, looking at all things. The modus operandi of a kafir is to laugh at those who believe. It is called psychological warfare. Why did he laugh? To make you leave your deen. Why he wants you to make you leave your deen? Because he envies you for your deen. Where is the evidence the kuffar envy you for your deen? Baqarah 109. Baqarah 109. وَدَّ كَثِيرٌ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ لَوْ يَرُدُونَكُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ إِيمَانِكُمْ كُفَّارًا حَسَدًا مِنْ عِنْدِ أَنفُسِهِمْ. A lot of Jews and Christians and pagans want you to turn back on your heels as apostates from your deen because they envy you for your deen. Baqarah 109. So you think kuffar, they only envy you for money and fast cars, pretty girls, designer clothing, big houses? No, 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 no. That's a mistake you're making. They envy you for your spirituality as well. Because your deen gives you izzah and they have no izzah. Your deen gives you the honor, the dignity, the prestige, the izzah, and they have no izzah. Like I told you in Surah 63 verse 8. وَلِلَّهِ الْإِزَّةِ. Surah 63 verse 8. وَلِلَّهِ الْإِزَّةِ وَلِرَسُولِهِ وَلِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَلَكِنْ الْمُنَافِقِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Unto Allah belongs the izzah, the honor, the dignity, the prestige. Unto the Rasul belongs the izzah. And unto the sincere believers belong the izzah, their honor, the dignity. But the kuffar, the hypocrites, the munafiqun, they don't realize it. They think that the media can give them izzah. Allah has 99 names and attributes. One of his names is Al-Mu'izz. He gives izzah to whom he please. Al-Mudhil. He disgraces whom he please. There are some laughter that are haram. Some laughter makes you become a fasiq, and some laughter makes you become a kafir. It is haram for the kuffar to laugh at the Muslims. And it is haram, that laughter is kufr because they are laughing at Islam. It is haram for a Muslim to laugh at his Muslim brother and sisters. For example, a Muslim is fat and you tease him. It is haram for a Muslim to laugh at his Muslim brothers and sisters, and the evidence, Surah 49 verse 11. So Allah said, لا يسخر قوم من قوم. Let not a group of people laugh at another. Surah 49 verse 11. It is haram to laugh at people in Islam. By laughing at them, it means you are cruel. You are a cruel person. يَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا يَسْخَرْ قَوْمٌ مِّن قَوْمٍ. عسى أن يكونوا خيرا منهم ولا نساء من نساء عسى أن يكون خيرا منهن ولا تلمزوا أنفسكم ولا تنابزوا بالألقاب بئس الاسم الفسوق بعد الإيمان ومن لم يتب فأولئك هم الظالمون. O you believe, let not a group of people laugh at another group of people. Let not one group of people ridicule another group of people. It is called smear, sneer, and jeer. Maybe they are laughing at people who are better than them. The Arabs used to laugh at Salman al-Farisi because he was a Persian, not from Quraysh. They laugh at Bilal because he was black, from Ethiopia, not from Quraysh. And they laugh at Suhaib al-Rumi. And they laugh at Zayd ibn Haritha because he was a freed slave. And they told the Prophet, if you want us to come to your dars, drive away Bilal because he's black. Drive away Zayd ibn Haritha because he's a freed slave. You have to make a dars for the elite of Mecca only. We can't mix with others. We are the elite. And they were the oligarchs. What is the meaning of the word oligarch? Oligarch means the elite, a small group of people who control the economy of a country. That's called the oligarch. I hope, did I spell that word properly? Do you understand what's the oligarch? If you have 20 families who control the wealth of the UK, that's called the oligarchs. If you have 20 families who control the wealth of Australia, that's oligarch. If you have 20 families who control the wealth of Jamaica, that's oligarch. If you have 20 families who control the wealth of the USA, those are called the oligarchs. And they only marry between themselves, the wealth in the family. They don't marry outside, the oligarch. It's called the elite. In Mecca, the oligarchs used to laugh at Bilal because he was black. They laugh at Salman al-Farisi because he was a Persian, not Arab, not pure-blooded Arab. They laugh at Suhaib al-Rumi because he was from Rome. They laugh at Zayd ibn Haritha because he was a freed slave. He wasn't an oligarch. And they told the Prophet, drive away these people, they are commoners. If you want us to come and listen to you, you have to set up a dars for the elite of Mecca. We can't mix with the commoners. They demanded an elite for the oligarchs. I already told you what the word oligarch means. I hope I spelled it properly. It's a Greek word. Even the word democracy is a Greek word. The government of the people, for the people, by the people. A lot of the English words are coming from Greek and Latin. Greek is alive as a language, but Latin is a dead language. People don't speak Latin, it's a dead language. So when they were laughing at Bilal because he was black and Salman al-Farisi because he was Persian, and they laugh at Zayd ibn Haritha because he was a freed slave, Allah revealed Surah Hujurat verse 11. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا يسخر قوم من قوم عسى أن يكونوا خيرا منهم. O you believe, let not a group of people ridicule others, laugh at others. Maybe you're laughing at people who are better than you. You're laughing at Bilal because he's black. But didn't the Prophet hear the footsteps of Bilal in paradise? I'm sure the Prophet heard the footsteps of Bilal in paradise. And you, Abu Lahab and Abu Jahl, who are laughing at Bilal, your destiny is in hellfire to abide forever. You are laughing at Bilal because he's black. You are laughing at Salman al-Farisi because he is Persian. Didn't the Prophet say he heard the footsteps of Bilal in paradise when he went to Al-Isra wal-Miraj? So how can you laugh at a person who is better than you? It doesn't make sense. It's insanity. It doesn't make sense. It proves to you that if a person is a kafir, racism runs in his veins the way blood runs in your veins. If a person is a kafir, racism runs in his veins the way blood runs in his veins. Allah Ta'ala said, Fi ayyi suratin ma sha'a rakkabak. I fashion you in any physical features I want to give you. When you laugh at Allah's creation, you are laughing at Allah. If you laugh at a man because he's white, you look down on his white skin. Some black people, they do that. It's called reverse racism. Some black people, they practice that. It's called reverse racism. They look down on the white skin. And they say it ages quickly and it cannot stand up to the sun. It's prone to skin cancer. Reverse racism. If you laugh at somebody's skin color, you are laughing at Allah's creation. So you are actually laughing at Allah. That's what you're doing. You are laughing at Allah. And Allah Ta'ala said in Surah 82, verse 8, في أي سورة ما شاء ركبك. Surah 82, verse 8. Whatever physical features that I want to give you, I give it to you. I fashion you and mold you into any physical feature that I want. في أي سورة ما شاء ركبك. And Allah Ta'ala, the Prophet of Allah Ta'ala said in Sahih Muslim, إن الله لا ينظر إلى صوركم ولا أجسادكم ولكن ينظر إلى قلوبكم وأعمالكم. Allah doesn't look at your physical features, your bodily appearances, your outward appearance. Allah looks at your heart and He looks at your good deeds, not the physical. A kafir is very, very physical. Why the kafir is physical? They can't understand spirituality. How can they understand spirituality? They can't. These are very physical people. Everything for them is physical. That's why they wear designer clothing. They think without the designer clothing, they're nobody. They can't pay attention to the spiritual aspect of life, like taqwa. They can't understand taqwa, love for Allah. A kafir can't understand love for Allah. A kafir can only love something they can see. To love something they can't see, it's impossible. They can't understand spirituality. And the Rasul said, Allah doesn't look at your bodily appearances, your faces. He looks at your heart. And the Prophet pointed to his heart with his fingers. This is why kuffar divorce their wives when they get old and replace them. It's called to trade in your wife. They trade in their cars and they trade in their wives. If the car becomes old, they part exchange the car for a new car. If the wife becomes old, they trade their wife in as well for a new wife, a young wife. A wife with no wrinkles and she has all her teeth. No wrinkles and no white hair. The Prophet didn't get rid of Khadija when Khadija became old. He continued to love Khadija because the Prophet understood spirituality. He loved her for her taqwa. So even when she became old, he still loved her. Aisha said, why do you keep talking about Khadija, Khadija, Khadija? She was an old woman who lost some of her teeth. Look at me. Allah replaced her with this beautiful woman like me. A beautiful young girl. The Rasul said, oh Aisha, she believed in me when everybody else rejected me. Why the Prophet continued to love Khadija even when she became old? Because the Prophet understood spirituality. That you love a person even when they are old because you love them for their taqwa. There is something beyond beauty, physical beauty. There's something called the spiritual beauty, which is the character of the person. There's something beyond the physical love. There's another love called the spiritual love. To love a person for the sake of Allah is spiritual love. That's the best love. For the kafir to laugh at a Muslim because he's a Muslim, that is haram and the kafir is doing kufr. For a Muslim to laugh at another Muslim because maybe he's fat, that is kufr. And like I told you, kafirs can't understand spirituality because they are not spiritual. Adolf Hitler used to tell the doctors to sterilize the women who were ugly. Only pretty women are allowed to give birth in Germany. If you are an ugly woman, you are not allowed to become pregnant. Because you'll give birth to an ugly child and you'll bring the German race into disrepute. Millions of women were sterilized when Hitler was in office. He told the doctors to sterilize all the ugly women in Germany. Because only pretty girls in Germany are allowed to give birth. Because the German race is a master race. You can't have an ugly German. That's not acceptable. Why Hitler gave that order? Because he was a spiritual, he wasn't a spiritual person, he was a physical person. And when a person is physical, they can't understand spirituality. Also, it is haram to laugh at the Prophet. It is haram to laugh at the Prophet, and it is haram to laugh at an aspect of Islam. If you slaughter your beard, you are not a kafir, but if you laugh at a man with his beard, you're a kafir. If you laugh at the Prophet Muhammad, you're a kafir. So Allah said in Tawbah 65 to 66, قُلْ أَبِ اللَّهِ وَآيَاتِهِ وَرَسُولِهِ كُنْتُمْ تَعْزِهُونَ لَا تَعْتَدْرُوا قَدْ كَفَرْتُمْ بَعْدَ إِيمَانِكُمْ. Say, is it Allah and His verses, His signs, His proofs you were laughing at, and His messenger? Is it Allah, His signs, His ayahs, and His messenger you were laughing at? لَا تَعْتَدْرُوا. Don't seek to find al-udhr. Don't seek to find excuses. You have become kafirs after you had Iman. The kafirs laugh at the Prophet Muhammad and call him what? Abtar. Abtar. A man who has no sons, therefore he has no future hope. The white man of Europe, they pick up where Quraysh left off. The white kuffar of Europe, they picked up where Quraysh left off. So today they laugh at Muhammad and they use cartoons to insult Muhammad. What do? They use cartoons to insult Muhammad. The Denmark people did it. They started it. The Danes started it. And then the Dutch and the French pick it up and spread it. They use cartoons to insult Muhammad all over Europe. And the white man will go down in history as the only man to use cartoons to insult Muhammad. The blacks in Africa did not do it, and the Indians in India did not do it. And the Chinese in China did not do it. The Chinese are too polite to do something like that. Most of their exports go to Muslim countries. So how can they insult Muhammad? The Chinese are too intelligent to do something like that. The white man of Europe will go down in history, will be remembered in history as the only man to use cartoons to insult Muhammad. How can you use cartoons to insult Muhammad? You have to be a human devil to contemplate something like that. Only a human devil can contemplate doing that. The white kafir of Europe is a human devil. How can you use cartoons to insult Muhammad? I don't understand. Just to think of doing something like that is atrocious. So the white man in Europe, his situation is pitiful, appalling, and pathetic, because he shall be remembered in history as the only man to use cartoons to insult Muhammad. The blacks in Africa did not do it. The Indians in India did not do it. The Chinese in China did not do it. The Chinese are too polite to do something like that. And when you ridicule Muhammad, you are actually ridiculing Allah. When you insult Muhammad, you are actually insulting Allah. When you laugh at Muhammad, you are laughing at Allah. We are doing the tafsir of Surah Al Kauther. Inna a'tainaka al Kauther. And the reason why Allah revealed the surah, Inna a'tainaka al Kauther, is because the kafirs of Mecca, they were laughing at Muhammad and they were ridiculing Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You are living in the 21st century and you saw the French and the Danes and the Dutch use cartoons to insult Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And if a European country did not join in the insult, they said that country is a traitor. They are a traitor to the white cause. They actually call countries that did not join in as traitors. They bully other countries to join in the insult of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Americans and the British say we can't join in because our troops are in Afghanistan. And if we use cartoons to insult Muhammad like the French and the Danes and the Dutch, it will endanger the lives of our troops. You will infuriate 1.5 billion Muslims, and you will endanger the lives of the troops in Afghanistan. So the Anglo-Saxons, they say we are the civilized white people. We are not like the French or the Dutch. We are the civilized white people, the Anglo-Saxons. So because we are the civilized white people, we, the English-speaking white people, we are the superior whites. We won't insult Muhammad with cartoons like and the Dutch and the Danes. The tafsir of Surah Kauther, you can relate to it. Do you know why? Because in the time of Muhammad, when they insulted Muhammad, you were not there. when they call him Abtar. Abtar, the man with no hope, no future hope. You weren't there, but you are present in this 21st century and you witnessed Kuffar insulting Muhammad with cartoons. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So the tafsir of Surah Kauther, you can relate to it. Why you can relate to it? Because you witness history repeating itself in front of your very eyes. And there are three reasons why history repeats itself. The first reason why history repeats itself is because the human nature doesn't change. Allah told you the human nature doesn't change. Surah 30 verse 30. Surah 30 verse 30. The human nature doesn't change. The second reason why history repeats itself, the shaitan with his plots and plans, the shaitan with his plots and plans, it doesn't change. The plot of the shaitan doesn't change. That is the second reason why history repeats itself. The third reason why history repeats itself is because the sunnah of Allah doesn't change. Surah 35, verse 43. Surah 35, verse 43. فَهَلْ يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَّا سُنَّةَ الْأَوَّلِينَ فَلَنْ تَجِدَ لِسُنَّةِ اللَّهِ تَبْدِيلًا وَلَنْ تَجِدَ لِسُنَّةِ اللَّهِ تَحْوِيلًا. Then can they expect anything else but the sunnah of Allah, of dealing with the people, the way He dealt with the people of old? So no change will you find in Allah's sunnah, Allah's way of dealing, and no turning off, no tahweel, no diversion will you find in the sunnah of Allah, His way of dealing with people. There are three reasons why history repeats itself. The human nature doesn't change, the plot of the Satan doesn't change, and the sunnah of Allah will never change. If you are a wayward, Allah will destroy you with natural disasters the way He destroyed the people of Lut. And this is why Hurricane Katrina was so devastating. Hurricane Katrina that destroyed America 2005. Why was it so devastating? That city was the murder capital of America and the black magic capital. The murder capital and the black magic capital of America. Voodoo. And it was a homosexual city, a gay city. And Allah said, you will never find any change in His sunnah, His way of dealing with the wayward. Surah 35, verse 43. One day, Aisha was with the Prophet, and the Jews said to the Prophet, Assam alaikum. Assam alaikum. Assam alaikum means, may death be upon you. They didn't say Assalamu alaikum. They said Assam alaikum. May death be upon you. And Aisha replied, the Prophet replied, Wa alaikum. And upon you. Aisha wasn't satisfied. Aisha, she didn't get her pound of flesh. Aisha decided, I didn't get my pound of flesh. And that reply of the Prophet is too mild. So Aisha said, death be upon you, and may the curse of Allah be upon you as well. The Prophet said to Aisha, O Aisha, Allah loves mildness in affairs, in all things, all of them. I asked the Prophet, did you not hear what they said? What Aisha said to the Prophet, did you not hear what the Jews said? He, the Prophet, said, indeed, I responded with Wa alaikum. So Aisha, as far as she's concerned, the Prophet wasn't harsh enough with the Jews. She was a very brave woman. She even used to go to the battlefield. She was at the Battle of Uhud. So for her to reply to the Jews and say, may the curse of Allah be upon you, as well as the death and the curse of Allah, that's easy for Aisha. Because she was a very, very brave woman. She even used to go to the battlefield. I wish we can have women like Aisha in our time. It's unfortunate Dar al-Harb has destroyed our sisters. Dar al-Harb has destroyed many of our sisters. Some of our sisters, not all of our sisters. So the kuffar, not only did they ridicule Muhammad, they wanted him dead. That's why the Jews said, Assam alaikum. The kids of the kuffar will grow up like them. Do you follow? The kids of the kuffar shall grow up like them, to be kuffar like them. and to hate Islam like them. Not all of them, the majority. The evidence is Surah 71, verse 27. Prophet Noah, he told Allah to send a natural disaster and kill everyone, men, women, and children. Don't even leave the kids. Just kill all of them with the flood. And Prophet Noah said that these kids, إِنَّكَ إِن تَذَرْهُمْ يُضِلُّوا عِبَادَكَ وَلَا يَلِدُوا إِلَّا فَاجِرًا كَفَّارًا. If you leave them, they will mislead your slaves and they will beget none but wicked disbelievers. Beget means the kids. They'll only bring up kids who are wicked disbelievers. So just kill everybody. That is the dua of Prophet Noah. And Allah answered his dua and sent the flood. The kids will expect the kids to copy their parents in Islam and copy their parents in Kufr. Kids copy their parents. They copy their parents in Islam if the parents are Muslims, and they copy their parents in Kufr if the parents are Kuffar. Prophet Noah said it. It's in front of you, Surah 71, verse 27. The kids will become Kuffar just like them. So just kill everyone. Now, what is Kauthar? Kauthar means a river in paradise. That is the most popular tafsir. The word Kauthar means a river in paradise. When the Prophet Muhammad was taken to Al-Isra wal-Miraj on the journey, the angel Gabriel showed him a river. He said, what is that? He said, that is the Kauthar that you were promised by Allah. That is the Kauthar that you were promised by Allah. Inna a'tainaka al-Kauthar. So when he was taken to Al-Isra wal-Miraj, he saw a river in paradise. He asked the angel Gabriel, what is that? The angel Gabriel said, that is the river Allah promised you. Inna a'tainaka al-Kauthar. So the most popular tafsir is that Kauthar means a river in paradise, which is only for Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The other tafsir is that Al-Kauthar is from the word kathir, and Al-Kauthar means goodness in abundance. Al-Kauthar means goodness in abundance. Did you find the hadith? When the Prophet was taken to Al-Isra wal-Miraj, he saw a river. He asked the angel Gabriel, what is that? And the angel Gabriel said, that river is Al-Kauthar, the river that Allah has promised you. This river flows on rubies and pearls, and its smell is more pleasant than musk, and it is sweeter than honey, and whiter than snow. Abdullah ibn Umar reported that Allah's Messenger said, Al-Kauthar is a river in paradise, its banks are of gold, and it flows over pearls and rubies. Its soil is more pleasing than musk, and its water is sweeter than honey, and whiter than snow. Okay, shukran for the hadith. Is there a hadith that when the Prophet was taken to Al-Isra wal-Miraj and he saw a river in paradise, he asked the angel, what is that? And the angel said, that river is called Al-Kauthar. It's the river that Allah has promised you in paradise. So, what is Al-Hawd? What is Al-Hawd? And what is Al-Kauthar? Because there's a difference between them. Did you know there's a difference between destiny and predestination? Did you know there's a difference between Tawbah and Istighfar? Did you know there's a difference between a prophet and a messenger? Did you know there's a difference between Al-Hawd and Al-Kauthar? Did you know these differences between destiny and predestination? Between a prophet and a messenger? Did you know there's a difference between heaven and paradise? Adam was in heaven, not paradise. Once you go to paradise, you can't be flung out, thrown out. Did you know there's a difference between Tawbah and Istighfar? Did you know there's a difference between Al-Hawd and Al-Kauthar? So what's the difference? Narrated by Muslim in his Sahih that Anas ibn Malik said, whilst we were with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he dozed off, then he raised his head and he was smiling. He said, we said, why are you smiling, O Messenger of Allah? He said, a surah has been revealed to me, and he recited, Inna a'tainaka al-Kauthar fasalli li rabbika wanhar inna shani'aka huwal abtar. Verily we have given you the Kauthar, a river in paradise. So pray to your Lord and sacrifice. It is your enemy and not you who is cut off from all future hope. to the end of the surah. Then he said, do you know what is Al Kauther? We said, Allah and His Messenger knows best. He said, it is a river that my Lord has promised me, in which there is much goodness. And it is a cistern to which my Ummah will come on the day of resurrection. Al Kauther flows into Al Hawd. Al Kauther is in paradise, but Al Hawd is in the dunya. And Rasul said, if you cannot find me, look for me by Al Hawd. And he said, I am your predecessor at the Hawd. So the Hawd is for the Ummah, but Al Kauther is only for Muhammad. That is the difference between Al Hawd and Al Kauther. What the Prophet said, I am your predecessor at the Hawd. If you cannot find me, look for me at the Hawd. The Prophet told a man, the Hawd, the width of the Hawd is from Medina to Sana'a, the capital of Yemen. The width of Al Hawd is from Medina to Sana'a, which is the capital of Yemen. Some men will come to drink from Al Hawd on the day of resurrection. I will look in their faces and I will recognize them. Just as they are about to drink, two angels will stop them from drinking. I will cry out, my Sahabas, my companions, because I will recognize them. But the two angels will say to me, you do not know what they did after you left. They turn back on their heels as apostates from Islam. This hadith is in Bukhari, and we use this hadith to checkmate the goofy Sufis and the Brahmins and the Shiites who claim Muhammad is alive in the grave and he has all his faculties and he knows what is happening with his ummah, even the minute details of his ummah. He can tell what is happening to his ummah. On the day of resurrection, a group of companions will come to me, but will be driven away from the lake fount, which is the Hawd. I will say, O Lord, these are my companions. It will be said to me, you have no knowledge as to what they innovated after you left. They turned apostates as renegades from Islam. This hadith is used by Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the scholars of the Sunni scholars, to refute the Shiites and the Sufis who claim that Muhammad is alive in his grave and he has full knowledge of the happenings of his ummah. He has all his faculties and he can tell the minute details of his ummah. The angels will say to him, you have no knowledge of what they did after you left. They turn back on their heels as apostates from Islam. And this hadith is called a checkmate. This hadith is used to checkmate those people who claim Muhammad is alive in the grave. He has all his faculties and he can tell the minute details of his ummah. Okay, bring me the hadith. The Prophet said, I am your predecessor at the Hawd, the lake fount. If you drink from it once, you'll never become thirsty again. 3 types of people will be barred from drinking from the Hawd. The man who turned back on his heels, the hadith of Abu Hazim from Sahal ibn Sa'd, the Prophet said, I am your predecessor at the Hawd, the lake fount, and whoever will pass by there, he will drink from it, and whoever will drink from it, he will never be thirsty again. There will come to me some people who I will recognize, and they will recognize me, but a barrier will be placed between me and them. Now, 3 types of people will be barred from drinking from Al-Hawd on the day of resurrection. The first type is the person who turned back on his heels as an apostate from the deen. The second type is the person who is a biddati. He adds to Islam. A biddati. The third person is the person who commits sins and brags about them. He commits sins and then he brags about them. If you do haram and you hide it from people, it is easy for Allah to forgive you. If you do haram and brag about it, you announce your haram, it's difficult or impossible for Allah to forgive you, because the Prophet said, all of my ummah will be forgiven except those who do haram and then announce them to others. I heard the Messenger of Allah saying, all of my ummah will be forgiven except those who sin openly. Because when you sin openly, you sin with impunity and immunity. And you are making a mockery of Allah. That's why you brag about your haram. You are making a mockery of Allah. It is part of sinning openly when a man does something at night. Then the following morning, when Allah has concealed his sin from the people, he says, "Oh, so and so, I did such and such last night. I did this, I did that. I went to Las Vegas and I slept with women. I went to the casino in Las Vegas." So he brags about his sin. When all night his Lord concealed it, in the morning he uncovers it to the people. A'udhu Billah. May Allah save us from such an evil behavior. To brag about our sins. A'udhu Billah. What an evil behavior. The Prophet said, all of my ummah will be forgiven for their sins except those who commit the sin and then brag about them. So 3 types of people will be barred from the Hawd. The one who turned back on his heels as an apostate from the deen. The one who was a biddati, he added to Islam or subtract. And the third, the one who does haram and brags about it. The second tafsir, al-Hawd, is goodness in abundance. So what are the good things that Allah blessed Muhammad with? The first thing, Allah raised his fame. What are the things, who is taking notes? What are the things that Allah blessed Muhammad with? The first thing, you can undock the room, we solicit someone to take the notes. Allah Ta'ala raised his fame. The first thing Allah blessed Muhammad with, he raised his fame. No human being, his name is mentioned like Muhammad. His name is mentioned in the adhan, his name is mentioned in the iqamah, his name is mentioned in the tashahhud. You have to say, Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah in the adhan, the iqamah, and the tashahhud. And this is mean, وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. We have raised your fame far and wide. Before the angel Israfil blows into the trumpet, every human being will hear the name Muhammad. And the Indians in the Amazon jungle in Brazil, as soon as they get electricity, the black people in Papua New Guinea, the aborigines of Papua New Guinea, as soon as they get electricity and they get TV and computer, they're going to hear about Muhammad. The only reason why the Indians in the Amazon have not yet heard about Muhammad is because they haven't got electricity. As soon as they get electricity in a village and they have computer and the internet, they are going to hear about Muhammad. The negative thing about the computer, the internet, and the TV is that they can see bad films. The positive thing about the electricity, the computer, the internet, the TV is that they are going to hear about Islam. So it's a double-edged sword. It has the positive and the negative. Before Judgment Day comes, every human being will hear about Muhammad. This is a tafsir. وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. We have made your name wide. We spread your name. We raise your fame. We shall spread your fame far and wide. No human being is mentioned as often as you, O Muhammad. There is no human being whose name is mentioned as often as your name. وَرَفَعْنَا لَكَ ذِكْرَكَ. The second goodness, the first goodness, Allah raised his fame far and wide. The second goodness, he was the most successful prophet. Even the kuffar admitted that Muhammad was the most successful human being ever to walk earth. The third goodness is, he is the most respected prophet. So second, the third, he was the most respected prophet. The mission of Muhammad was so successful, Allah said, وَلَصَوْفَ يُؤْتِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. Your Lord will give unto you, O Muhammad, until you are completely satisfied. Surah 93 verse 5. Before you die, you will see the success of your mission. وَلَصَوْفَ يُؤْتِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. Before you die, you will see the success of your mission. The whole of the Arabian Peninsula fell to the religion of Islam. The whole of the Arabian Peninsula fell to Islam before you die. Your greatest enemies took Shahada before you die. Number 4, his character was the most comprehensive. Number 4, the character of Muhammad was the most comprehensive character. And because of that, Allah told you in Surah 33 verse 21, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرَ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. You will find in the character of Muhammad the most excellent example for anyone who wishes to meet Allah on the last day and remember Allah abundantly. The character of Muhammad is the most comprehensive character. He was a husband, a father, a stepfather, a grandfather, and a father-in-law. What was he? A husband, a father, a stepfather, a grandfather, a father-in-law. He was 4 fathers. He was 4 fathers. He was a husband, a father, a stepfather, a grandfather, and a father-in-law. 4 fathers. Was he a godfather? What about godfather? What is a godfather? The Kafirs will say he was a godfather. A godfather, the person who is responsible. Bismillah. Was the Prophet a godfather? He was not a godfather. Godfather has 2 meanings in the English language. You know, when a person belongs to the church and his wife gives birth and they are going to christen the child in the church, the naming ceremony in the christening, somebody stands as godfather for the child. And they always choose somebody with money so that they can give something to the child. He stands as godfather. That's one meaning. Godfather also means the leader of a cartel. There's a film called The Godfather. The leader of a gang, like the mafias, the Italian mafias. Everybody in the mafia answers to the Godfather. The Prophet was never a godfather because his Sahabas were not a group of, like Italian mafia, a mafia, a gang. His Sahabas were not a gang, a mafia. So he, the Prophet, was never a godfather. That title doesn't belong to the Prophet. That would be disrespecting the Prophet. And Godfather is a Christian thing. It doesn't exist in Islam. To stand Godfather in the church for the christening of the baby. He, Muhammad, his character was so all-embracing. He was also a judge in the court in the disputes of others. And Allah told you, if you don't accept his verdict, you are not a true believer. Nisa 65. You have to accept his verdicts in the court. فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ حَتَّى يُحَكِّمُوكَ فِيمَا شَجَرَ بَيْنَهُمْ ثُمَّ لَا يَجِدُوا فِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَرَجًا مِمَّا قَضَيْتَ وَيُسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا. Nay, by your law, they'll never become true believers until they allow you, Muhammad, to judge between them in their disputes. And when you deliver the verdict, they don't find any resentment to your verdict, but instead they submit wholeheartedly. He, Muhammad, was a very intelligent army general, a military strategist. And Allah spoke about that in Surah 3, 121. وَإِذْ غَدَوْتَ مِنْ أَهْلِكَ تُبَوِّئُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ مَقَاعِدَ لِلْقِتَالِ. Remember when you leave your house after Fajr to go to the battle of Uhud to station the believers on the battlefield. And he stationed 50 archers on top of the hill to guard the back of the Muslims. Do you remember that battle? We covered this battle when we covered the sealed nectar. I gave you the share of that book from cover to cover. Many of you were not here when I did that book. I don't know where you were, but you were not present in the room when we covered the life of the Prophet in details. He was a skillful army general, the Prophet. The Sahaba said on the battlefield he was the closest to the enemy, fighting the enemy. No one could match the bravery of the Prophet on the battlefield. And he fought 27 battles in his lifetime. And the Rasul ﷺ was a statesman. He established the Islamic State and governed the people with what Allah has revealed. And Allah said in Ma'idah 44, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. Those who do not govern by what Allah has revealed, verily they are al-kafirun, the disbelievers. And you can't tell me they are disbelievers of a lesser degree. That doesn't exist. You're either a Muslim, a kafir, or a munafiq. A disbeliever of a lesser degree, that category doesn't exist. That is a Saudi Salafi category. That category doesn't exist. So the character of Muhammad ﷺ was all-embracing, comprehensive. This is another goodness Allah bestowed upon the Prophet. The 5th goodness, he had a righteous character. So not only was his character comprehensive, his character was noble and righteous. So Allah said in Surah 62 verse 2, هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة. Surah 62 verse 2. وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين. He it is that has sent among the unlettered ones a messenger from among themselves, reciting to them his verses, purifying them from filth and disbelief and polytheism, and teaching them the book, the Quran, and teaching them the hikmah. And before that, they were in clear error, manifest error. Before that, they were in manifest error, clear error. So Allah Ta'ala said in Surah 68 verse 4, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. And you, Muhammad, you are at the peak of a good character. Please bring the ayah after the point. Authentic 35, post the ayah a second time. Bring it after the point. Surah 62 verse 2. Number 6, Allah bless Muhammad with knowledge. And the Rasul said, مَنْ يُرِدُ اللَّهُ بِهِ خَيْرًا يُفَقِّهُ فِي الدِّينِ. The 6, Allah bless Muhammad with knowledge. All these things are called goodness in abundance. And what did Muhammad say? مَنْ يُرِدُ اللَّهُ بِهِ خَيْرًا يُفَقِّهُ فِي الدِّينِ. If Allah wants good for you, He gives you the proper understanding of the deen, knowledge of the deen. These are the words of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. مَنْ يُرِدُ اللَّهُ بِهِ خَيْرًا يُفَقِّهُ فِي الدِّينِ. Yufaqihu means to make him understand. For you to be walking around with a dodgy aqidah, that means Allah doesn't love you. If Allah had loved you, you wouldn't be walking around claiming Allah is everywhere. The goofy Sufi. To dismantle the Sharia is a minor kufr. Saudi Salafi. Democracy is Shura and Shura is democracy. That's the aqidah of who? Ikhwan Muslimin. If you believe in democracy, you cannot say you are Ikhwan Muslimin. If you believe in democracy, you become Ikhwan Shayateen. Because democracy is a religion of the Satan. You can't believe in democracy and call yourself Ikhwan Muslimin. If you believe in democracy, you have to call yourself Ikhwan Shayateen. Because democracy is a religion of the Satan. The 7th thing Allah bless Muhammad with is hikmah. And Allah said in Baqarah 269, يُؤْتِ الْحِكْمَةَ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَمَنْ يُؤْتِ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. So what is hikmah? To do and say the right things at the right time, at the right place, and in the right manner. What is hikmah? To do and say the right things at the right time, at the right place, and in the right manner. يُؤْتِ الْحِكْمَةَ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَمَنْ يُؤْتِ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. And the Prophet said, the peak of wisdom is to fear Allah. Wisdom begins with the fear of Allah. رَقْصُ الْحِكْمَةِ مَخَافَةُ اللَّهِ. The peak of wisdom is to fear Allah, or wisdom begins with the fear of Allah. Bring me the hadith, wisdom begins with the fear of Allah. The best provision is piety, and the peak of wisdom is to fear Allah. Bayhaqi in Sunan Kubra. Okay, shukran. The eighth goodness Allah bless Muhammad with is that he died a happy man, because he lived to see the success of his mission. He died a happy man. He lived to see the success of his mission, and this is the meaning of the ayah. وَلَسَوْفَ يُؤْتِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. Your Lord will give unto you until you are completely satisfied. Surah 93 verse 5. وَلَسَوْفَ يُؤْتِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. You, Muhammad, Allah will give you until you are completely satisfied. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The 9th goodness that Allah gave Muhammad with, blessed Muhammad with, is good health. He, the Prophet, was able to go to bed with all 9 wives in one night with one ghusl. This hadith is collected by At-Tirmidhi. He slept with all 9 wives in one night. It proves his potency. And for you to be impotent is a reason for divorce. Because your wife has her needs, it's called conjugal needs. Whereas the hadith I quoted, the Prophet slept with all 9 wives in one night with one ghusl. But you have to make istinja between the wives. The hadith was collected by At-Tirmidhi. Okay, we continue. Let's hope you find the hadith. It's collected by At-Tirmidhi. The Prophet slept with all 9 wives in one night. The 10th thing Allah blessed Muhammad with is rizq, halal rizq. The Prophet said, the booty is under the blade of my sword. وَجُعِلَ رِزْقِي تَحْتَ ذِي الرُّمْحِ. I was sent with the sword until the day of judgment. And my livelihood is under the blade of my sword, my spear. And there is ignobility and disgrace on anyone who goes against my way, which is Islam. وَمَنْ تَشَابَّهَ بِقَوْمٍ فَهُوَ مِنْهُمْ. And he who imitates a people become one of them. This hadith is collected by Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Okay, bring me the hadith. My livelihood, my rizq is underneath what? The shade of my spear. Allah bless Muhammad with rizq, halal rizq. The rizq is the booty. Aisha said, and Ibn Umar, we never enjoyed a bellyful until we conquered Khaybar. Okay, shukran for the hadith. The 11th thing Allah bless Muhammad with is Al-Hidayah. The 11th thing Allah bless Muhammad with is what? Al-Hidayah. Divine guidance. So Allah said, وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى. We found thee searching and we gave you the divine guidance. And guidance is the most important thing in the life of every human being. Because when you pray, what do you say? Ihdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. You beg Allah for guidance. Guidance is the most precious thing in the life of every human being. Surah 93 verse 7, وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى. We found thee searching and we gave you the guidance. The 11th goodness Allah bless Muhammad with is the divine guidance. Surah 93 verse 7, وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى. We found thee searching and we gave you the divine guidance. The last chapter is, he was given the divine guidance. The last chapter is lessons from Surah Kauther, lessons from the Tafseer of Surah Al Kauther. That is our last chapter. Lessons from the Tafseer of Surah Al Kauther. The first lesson from the Tafseer of Surah Al Kauther is Allah has promised Islam a brilliant future. Lessons from the Tafseer of Surah Al Kauther. Allah has promised Islam a brilliant future. That is the first lesson. Lessons from Surah Al Kauther. Allah has promised Islam a brilliant future. That is lesson number 1. Allah has promised Islam a brilliant future. Authentic 38 has to leave. We need somebody else to write the notes. I will ask somebody else to write the notes. Okay, on that Nuh to write the notes if she's still at her computer. Could you please on that Nuh to write the notes? That's the first lesson. Allah has promised Islam a brilliant future. You are laughing at Muhammad, claiming that his religion is doomed because he has no sons. Who told you Islam is doomed? Who told you Islam needs sons anyway? Islam needs mujahideen, not sons. The son of the leader has to be alive. Who told you Islam is doomed because Muhammad is dead? The kafir, you are too narrow-minded. The second lesson we learned from this tafsir today is the kuffar don't want any good to come to you from your Lord. They rejoice at your downfall. That's the second lesson from the tafsir of Surah Al Kauther. The second lesson is the kuffar, they rejoice at your downfall and they don't want any good to come to you from your Lord. That's why they were celebrating the death of the Prophet's son. How can they celebrate the death of a child? Because kafirs don't want any good to come to you from your Lord. The third lesson is that the mentality of the kuffar is depraved. Because for you to celebrate the death of a child, it means your mentality is corrupt and depraved. The fourth lesson is that salah and sacrifice are interwoven. فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْهَرْ. Pray to your Lord. Sacrifice. What sacrifice? Sacrifice is Eid al-Adha. Abu Hanifa used this surah to say Eid is fard. Because when Allah said sacrifice, Allah is talking about the sacrifice of Eid al-Adha. Abu Hanifa used it to say Eid is fard. The other lesson from, we have no one to take the notes, never mind. You could undock the entire room and somebody can take the notes. The other lesson we learn is that wicked people laugh at others. When a person is cruel and wicked, they are the ones who laugh at others. Wicked and cruel people, they laugh at others. That is the other lesson. The other lesson you learn is Eid is fard because Abu Hanifa used this ayah, not ayah, the surah as the hujjah that Eid is fard. Because Allah said, pray to your Lord and sacrifice. Sacrifice is to kill an animal on the day of Eid. Number 9, the 9th lesson. Every prophet had an enemy. Surah 6, 123. For every prophet there is an enemy who plot against the truth. For every prophet there are enemies in the city who plot against the haqq. Surah 6, 123. So that is the other lesson from this surah. The prophets have enemies. The other lesson is kuffar laugh at you for you to lose your faith. It's called psychological warfare. They laugh at your hijab, they laugh at your niqab, they laugh at the beard. A kafir will grab every opportunity to laugh at you. It's called psychological warfare. He wants you to lose your faith. But on Judgment Day, we will laugh at the kuffar. And who laugh the last, laugh best. The other lesson you learn from the Tafseer of Surah Al Kauther, mankind takes pride in sons. Okay, Surah 6, 123, Allah told you in every town there are criminals who plot against the haqq. In every village, every town, there are people who plot against the haqq. If you go to Pakistan to preach Tawheed, the brothers are going to plot your downfall and they might pay a hitman to kill you. If you go to Pakistan to preach Tawheed and to tell the people to stop worshipping graves, the brothers are going to put a hitman to kill you because you are stopping their economy. They make money from railway. They pay to build the monuments over the graves and they pay to refurbish them and they pay to make, you have to pay to make tawaf around the graves. Shirk is a multi-billion-dollar business. If you go to Pakistan to preach Tawheed, the brothers are going to kill you because you are enlightening the people. If you go to Iran to preach Tawheed, the Shiites will kill you. Allah said, we put criminals in every town to plot against the haqq. A Brahmin is the worst kafir in the world because they don't worship Allah, they worship the graves. If you preach the haqq in the UK, the Saudi Salafis conspire for you to go to Belmarsh for the rest of your life. The Saudi Salafis conspire with Scotland Yard to lock you up if you preach the haqq in the UK and they say you are a member of Al Qaeda. A Saudi Salafi is a low-life scum of the earth and a hypocrite and a waste of space. Nobody hates Islam like a Saudi Salafi. Abdullah Baker, brag and boast, I spied for the MI5 for 5 years. Abdullah Baker of Brixton Mosque. So in every town there are people who plot against the haqq. Any woman who is married to a Saudi Salafi is committing zina and the kids from that marriage are bastard kids. A Saudi Salafi is the greatest enemy of Islam. The 10th lesson from this tafsir, Kafirs are very short-sighted. They think with the death of Muhammad, Islam is finished. They are very short-sighted. They think with the death of Bin Laden, Islam is finished. Do you follow? They think if Bin Laden should die, khalas, Islam is finished. A kafir is very short-sighted. If Islam wasn't finished when Muhammad died, Spain was conquered after Muhammad died. Iran was conquered after Muhammad died. Egypt was conquered after Muhammad died. The glory days of Islam, Islam reached its peak after Muhammad died. If Islam did not perish when Muhammad died, what makes you think Islam will perish when Osama bin Laden died? Or Ayman Zawahiri? Or Abu Musab Zarqawi? Or Sheikh Umar Abdurrahman? What makes you think Islam is dependent upon one man? Allah promised Islam a brilliant future. You the kafir, you are very, very short-sighted. And because the kafirs are short-sighted, when you read the Quran, Allah said, ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ قَوْمٌ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ قَوْمٌ لَا يَتَفَكَّرُونَ ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ قَوْمٌ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ. That is because they are a people who realize not. That is because they are people لَا يَعْقِلُونَ. They have no aql. They don't use their aql. On many occasions, Allah said what? ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ قَوْمٌ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ. They are a people who don't use their aql. If they used their akal, America wouldn't have been stuck in Afghanistan right now in a quagmire. If they pull out, they lose. If they stay, they lose. I would believe that. If the Americans pull out of Afghanistan, they lose the war. And if they stay in Afghanistan, they lose the war. If the French pull out of Mali, they lose. If the French stay in Mali, they lose. Why they make mistakes upon mistakes, colossal mistakes? Because they are a people who do not use their akal. Why they don't use their akal? Because they think with their bellies and their private parts. The Kafirs are very short-sighted. They don't use their akal because they think with their bellies and their private parts. When the French invade Mali, it is to steal the gold. Mali has the third largest gold reserve in Africa. It is all about the Benjamin. Mali has the third largest gold reserve in Africa. The French went in to steal the gold and to fight Islam, to uproot Sharia. When you fight Sharia, you're fighting Allah. You can't win a battle against Allah. And when you fight Sharia, you are fighting Allah. This is why Allah said, if you implement riba, you have declared war on Allah and His Rasul. When you implement a riba system, you have declared war on Allah Ta'ala and His Rasul. Baqarah 279 tells you, when you implement riba, you declare war on Allah and His Rasul. The 11th lesson from this tafsir is that Islam doesn't need sons to survive, because Islam was promised a brilliant future by Allah. That is the 11th lesson. Islam doesn't depend on sons to survive. The Prophet had no son, but he had sons-in-law, and fathers-in-law. The four rightly caliphs were from his family. Abu Bakr Siddiq was his father-in-law. The second Caliph Omar was his father-in-law. The third Caliph Uthman was his son-in-law. He was his son-in-law twice. He's called Dhu Nurayn, the possessor of two lands. Ali ibn Abi Talib, the fourth Caliph, was what? His son-in-law. The fifth Caliph after Ali was Hassan. He ruled for 6 months. He was his grandson. And the sixth Caliph, Muawiyah, was his brother-in-law. So the first 6 caliphs belonged to the Prophet's family. Abu Bakr, his father-in-law. Omar, his father-in-law. Uthman, his son-in-law. Ali, his son-in-law. Hassan, the 5th caliph, who ruled for 6 months, his grandson. Muawiyah, the 6th caliph, who ruled for 12 years. I'm sorry, he ruled for about 20 years, Muawiyah. He was his brother-in-law. And the caliphate of Muawiyah was very successful. Islam doesn't need sons to survive, because Allah promised Islam a brilliant future in Surah 61 verse 9. So whether or not Muhammad has sons, that is irrelevant, because Allah made a promise for Islam to be dominant, and Allah doesn't go back on His promises. And you, the Kafirs, you are very narrow-minded and short-sighted to think that Islam needs sons to survive. Look how narrow-minded and short-sighted you are. Allah promised Islam a brilliant future. Whether or not Muhammad has sons, that is irrelevant, because Allah doesn't break His promises. The last lesson you learn is that the enemies of Muhammad, Abu Lahab, Abu Jahl, they are the ones who are doomed, and their religion of paganism is doomed. It's no longer in the Arabian Peninsula. You, the pagans who were laughing at Muhammad, claiming that his religion has no hope because he has no son to carry on. Your religion of paganism is doomed. There is no paganism in the Arabian Peninsula. Lat, Uzza, Hubal, Manat, they are not worshipped in the idol. They are not worshipped in the Kaaba right now. There are no idols in the Kaaba that has been worshipped. So it's your religion that is doomed, your religion of paganism. This surah is a prediction of the Holy Quran. What's the prediction? That Islam will prevail and paganism is doomed. Because Allah said, Inna shani'aka huwal abtar. Who is the abtar? Your enemy, not you. They are calling you abtar. They are the abtar. This surah is a prediction of the Quran that the enemies of Muhammad, they are the ones who are abtar. They are cut off from all future hope. I'll stop here and take 3 questions. This is the Tafseer of Surah Al Kauther. There are no questions. Subhanakallah.
Alhamdulillah, la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. I will now yield the